Hey there, my giant-sized fan things. How you all doing? Hope you're keeping safe out there. Today, I thought I'd take a look at the Marvel Legends Mr. Hyde Build-A-Figure Wave / Shang-Chi Movie Wave AI Tony Stark Iron Man. And this figure is a repaint, except there isn't paint on it, it's a bit different, version of the 80th anniversary Iron Man figure, which is really cool. I really like this figure. Before I get into the review, as always, I picked this figure up from the fine folks over at Comics and Cocktails. They're where I get everything from nowadays. They're a really great store, highly recommended, just brilliant service, brilliant pricing, brilliant delivery, just a brilliant store. And yep, this figure, it is a rework of the 80th anniversary Iron Man figure, except rather than painting on like the gold and they're giving it a very cherry metallic red, they've gone for very comic book accurate solid plastic colours, which I actually really like. And just as a bit of background to this figure, it represents a version of Iron Man post Civil War II, after Carol Danvers murdered Tony Stark because he tried to stop her from implementing her fascist regime where she arrested people for crimes they haven't committed, mainly by profiling them. And yeah, just do remember this, folks. Captain Marvel in the comic books, Carol Danvers, real scum, and she definitely did kill Tony Stark. He was legally declared dead, and she took the job from her boyfriend, who she also strangely managed to get killed. That's very weird. And became head of the US Army. So yeah. Anyway, after his death, Tony Stark decided, before his death, he decided that if he were to die, he'd want to help the next generation of heroes. So he did. He entrusted Riri Williams, Ironheart, one of my favourite new Marvel creations, a really great young female genius. She's a really great character, and he left her an AI copy of his consciousness to be her mentor, a tutor in some ways, and just to be there for her. And it was actually really good in the books. They were really great together. He was a great, slightly harsh tutor, because like one of the first things he did was he had her fly her own custom built armour against all of his previous ones. So she did win, but a bit of a trial by fire. And during the events of Secret Invasion, he downloaded himself into an old suit of Iron Man armour and went round, as you see this figure, like a classic red and gold with blue arc reactor lights, and a holographic version of his head. It's really cool, and I actually really liked it in the comic books. I won't spoil it, what happened, but he's no longer with us, but it was really cool. And this figure is also really cool. As I said, it's the 80th anniversary figure, but rather than painted on gold over the plastic's just cast in this really great yellow, which is the way the comics used to display, the way the army used to look in the comic books back in the day was just red and yellow, and it was obviously referred to as gold, but it was always drawn and coloured as yellow. This figure recreates this perfectly. And being a retool of that, a repaint / re-release of that 80th anniversary, he has great articulation. He can pull off the classic hero pose really well, and if anything, the lack of paint I think actually helps with posing, because I've got no fear of paint chipping, which was kind of a thing with the painted gold on the 80th anniversary version. Not only that, but because I think these joints were all designed with micrometer tolerances to take into account the thickness of paint, because there's any paint on it, the joints are slightly looser and more free flowing, and they move very smoothly. It's really nice. The figure, like the classic 80th anniversary version, comes with a pair of closed punching fists. They swap in and out of the wrist really well. They're articulated on a hinge. They look good. They're Iron Man punching fists. They're nothing special, but they work. They're really good. He also comes with a pair of the Repulsor blasting hands, same as the previous release. And just like that release, he has blast effects, though this time, rather than being like a semi-translucent yellow, they're now in this semi-translucent blue, to match the arc reactor and the way Repulsor blasts are drawn or coloured more in modern times. They look really good. Though of course, being a re-release, if you want to, you can just put on those classic orange and yellow versions of the blast effects that came with I think it was Iron Man 2020 and War Machine had them, or possibly just Iron Man 2020, but either way they look really good. And if you want to, you can even give him the blasting off effects that came with those figures. It looks really great on them, and in fact he actually balances better on them than the 80th anniversary version did. I don't know if it's just because like the joints are slightly easier to pose without the paint, or maybe it's because I don't have a fear of him falling off and like the paint chipping. I can be a bit more cavalier with it, and that just seems to help. But either way, it looks really, really, really cool on there. But that's not the only things he comes with. He comes with his own unique accessory, that being the holographic Tony Stark head. It looks really cool. It's a great representation of how holographic Tony Stark was drawn at the beginning of his appearances. As he got on a bit, he sort of like the beard got more raggedy during Secret Empire, but this looks really cool. And I must admit, originally I thought it was just like a clear blue re-release of the head that came with the Invincible Iron Man a few years ago. But putting them side to side, I don't think they're the same sculpt. I think they're both trying to represent the same thing, but it's just a different sculpt. So that's really, really cool. I'm probably wrong actually, they probably are the same sculpt, but they look different to me. And what's really cool is this head's got painted on details in like a semi-transparent blue. It's really, really cool. And in fact, it actually looks really nice on the 80th anniversary figure. Pop it on there. It's a really nice contrast between the very classic red and gold, which looks, I'm going to say old, but has more like a real world metallic feel to it, with that gold paint and that cherry metallic red juxtaposed to the blue holographic head. It looks really, really cool. And okay, so I'll compare this figure to some others. Here he is off the bat with the 80th anniversary version. They both look really cool next to each other. They're both different takes on on an Iron Man figure when it comes to colour. Best way I can describe it is like if you take the comic books as the source material, the 80th anniversary figure is like a live action adaptation where they try and make things look more real world, like the real gold and the real like metallic reds. Well, this figure is much more like the anime adaptation, where they've literally taken those colours, taken that flair, that comic book styling, and just made a figure which follows those. And they're both really good, and I recommend getting them both actually. But they both have a place in a collection. And here he is next to another rather recent figure, the Marvel Legends Retro Spider-Man figure. I think it looks really good with him. If anything, actually, it makes Spider-Man look a lot darker. It kind of makes me wish they'd re-release this figure again with lighter blues and more vibrant reds, but sitting next to each other, they look really cool. And I couldn't do Iron Man without bringing out Captain America, the classic combo, and they look really, really good. But yet again, it kind of makes me wish we had a Captain America now with more vibrant blues, more vibrant reds, just more like pop comic book colours. I love this figure anyway, but yeah, I wouldn't mind one with like more just comic book accurate, well, not accurate, but more comic book styled colouring. And actually, here's another figure that did get a more comic book-esque re-release. It's the standalone release, like retro Doctor Doom figure. Like this one, they gave him colouring which more accurately represented the way he was coloured in the comic books, and I think the two look really, really great next to each other. And what's really cool is with these two figures, I can actually recreate one of my favourite Iron Man stories, that being Doom Quest, where he and Doctor Doom found themselves back in Camelot at the time of King Arthur. It's actually a really, really cool little couple of issue story, and I actually recommend, if you can find a copy of it like collected, pick it up. It's really, really cool. So, end of the day, what do I think of this figure? I really like it. I think it's a great addition to any Iron Man shelf. I think it's an okay addition to any modern shelf. Maybe not something that's like, if you're doing like any modern designs, it's not maybe 100% needed. But with that Riri Williams figure coming out in the Ursa Major wave, I think the two of them together will look brilliant. And that's how I'm going to display them actually next to each other. They're just going to look really, really good. So yeah, that's it folks. Hope you enjoyed the review. I highly recommend this figure. If you can find a copy of him still, I recommend picking it up. It's fantastic. And yeah, that's it. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like, a comment, and if you've not already, please subscribe. And yeah, as always, until next time, I want you all to stay safe, stay sane, and keep on rolling. And I'll see you all next time. Ta-da!